WATZ. Also, if any of you are interested and really would like to have any questions answered about the support that she's getting and those kinds of things, please feel free to give us a call at 901-870-7492. You can send an email to me at ricksinternational@msn.com. But really want to share more information with our young people, with our parents and caregivers of our young athletes, how you get to that next phase from amateur to professional. And we're finding it out from the best, Ms. Jasmine Watson. Now, as we continue to talk, and you're preparing and you're transitioning from amateur to professionals. You talked about Coach Scotty. Coach Scotty is he is an animal. I tell you, he has that constant smile on his face, but he draws out the best in you. So tell us about what's been the most challenging for you thus far.
Well, probably the most challenging thing for me would be kind of balancing everything out. Basketball takes a lot out of you. It's a full-time job. In college it was a full-time job, in high school it's a full-time job, and now this is actually my full-time job. So it's all about kind of deciding what you want to put your energy into. Basketball is one of those things where what you put into it is what you get out of. If you're not in the gym in those extra hours, you won't be able to have those extra opportunities, whether it's in a game or job opportunities, like being on a team. So being a professional at anything takes work, and basketball just so happens to be mostly physical, but like Scotty tells me, the game is pretty much 100% mental. So I actually have to work on my mental part too. It's a struggle, but it's definitely worth it. All these years of sacrificing throughout high school and college is paid off, because now I'm going to where I said I would go back in high school.
Absolutely. Tell us something that is the most rewarding thus far for you.
Probably doing what I set out to do.
Good.
You know, in high school you always say, I want to, be a pro, and in college you still saying you want to be a pro, but now that I've actually made that step into it, it's still kind of unreal to me. I don't think it'll hit me till I'm actually on the flight, but my family's known for years that I've always wanted to do one thing, which is play basketball, and getting to know myself, I've also discovered other things like the fashion and music and just some other things that I like. But basketball, it will definitely take you far if you put into it, the time and the effort, and you get to know a lot of people. I got to know you and your lovely wife. I got to know Coach Scotty. My aunt has been with me throughout it all. So it's definitely worth it. It comes with a lot of benefits.
Awesome. Now, we've talked here just for a few minutes, and obviously we could just talk continually, and we could uncover and unwrap a number of things that would be helpful for young people who are athletes, as well as their family members, as they attempt to support the athletes, because there's really not a lot of difference, in my opinion, in a professional athlete and an executive, for example, because sometimes your family members just don't understand why you have to travel, why you have to be away, why do you have to, dedicate that time to working away so much. What advice would you give to young athletes, number one, and then what advice would you give to their parents? And at the right time, and we're going to be preparing this until you get back, and at the right time, we will have an opportunity for you to sit on a podium like this and talk with people live about parents. This is how you nurture an athlete, and athletes, this is how you take care of yourself. What advice would you give them?
Well, for the athletes, I would definitely say just to focus on what you really want. If you just want to go through college and get an education and play ball, then know that and take advantage of it. But if you want to go to the pros, you really need to take a look at, what are your goals? What are you doing outside of the gym? It's all about what you do at the end of the day. It's not about what your parents say. It's not about what your friends say. Because when you're taking that flight overseas or to another team to play, you on that flight by yourself. And parents, it's kind of hard because you're their baby and they want to go with you. But for the parents, I think you just, as long as you kind of instill in them that they will be okay, everything will be okay, this is building towards your future, it's all worth it, those kind of things, just kind of stay positive, because in a sport where you don't have all the control of, it's really hard to stay positive. But if you have a positive background, positive parents, positive friends, it helps. But it's challenging. But if the two come together, the parents and the athlete come together, I think it'll be okay.
Well, that's awesome, and I know that you and I have had some one-on-ones, and then we've talked in some smaller circles too, just about what's best for Ms. Jasmine Watson, and as a life and business coach and advisor to athletes and to business people as well. One of the things that I always want to do is to make sure that that person is healthy. There are basic things like just telling the truth and being tactfully honest with yourself and with others, and just thinking in terms of that advice to athletes and to parents. What would you say has been some of the best advice that you've received?
Your body is your business. Like, that's one of the things me and my dad joke around with all the time. If you're an athlete, being an athlete consists of you wear and tearing on your body. Sometimes you don't get the rest you need, but those things are all important. You can't go through this profession and not take care of your body. I'm still working with that. It's hard to do, especially because we're so active. We're on the move a lot. There's very few times where you just have a lot of break time. So getting a lot of rest, getting a nutritionist. If you're at a good school and you have the right support system around you, someone will get in touch with a nutritionist, because it's really important. Make sure you're eating breakfast, lunch, before you work out, which I still have problems with. It's still a problem of mine, but I know I need to cap it, because when I go overseas, the food isn't even going to be what I expect it to be. So it's definitely a struggle, but that's the main thing, nutrition, just staying hydrated, definitely, especially from being out in the sun. Yeah.
Well, I will say too, in the words of your father, and I will say, Dad, that was some really awesome advice, and your mom and dad have obviously done just an incredible job with caring for you and nurturing and raising a young lady, which I think is really important for people to know. But it's interesting that you mentioned that your dad said that your body is your business. There is a gentleman, Zig Ziglar, who's passed on, that said once in one of his speeches, how many times have you seen someone who owns a thoroughbred horse give them alcohol the night before, have them stay up all night, and those kinds of things, have them smoking cigarettes if they could, but just in a room where they get secondhand smoke? And the answer is none. Now, if we can respect a thoroughbred, then as you said, I mean, your dad was really, really wise in sharing that with you, and I can tell that it's second nature for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, young athletes, I mean, you said it best, that your body is your business. Let's talk a little bit more too about Ms. Jasmine here, and just some things that you'd like to share, because I think that it's really important for our young people. And I'm going to even drill down further and say for our young ladies, because there's so many changes that you go through from being a little girl to being a woman. And so what advice would you, if you were to leave a legacy for young ladies first, but then just athletes in general, what would that be? What would you want to be known for? How would you want people to remember you?
Well, one thing I always take pride in is anyone I meet, I want them to actually remember me, whether it's a warm handshake, a warm hug, a warm, welcoming conversation. I pride myself on just being a people person. I'm really goofy, and I'm not the center of attraction all the time, but I know I stand out in the room, obviously, because I'm 6'3", but I want people to remember me for my smile or something like that. Just being a person to remember. I think it's really important as an athlete, because you meet so many people, to be sociable. I love networking with people, so I think my legacy would definitely be that I came from a certain type of background, and I took that and used it as my advantage. I used it as my kind of my fuel. The type of neighborhood I grew up in, and the type of situations that were thrown at me, I didn't let it really take me out of my game. Pretty much, I've kind of dealt with it like it was a basketball game. Somebody beat me, okay, I came back and beat them the next time. Just being a I'm real spiritual. I'm really deep in my faith. Every time I get down and I'm in a hotel room on the road and I can't call my parents, I'm definitely having conversations by myself and kind of getting myself back into it, because at the end of the day, it is you and you are your business. You have to take care of yourself, mind, body, and soul.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you've said a few things, and I'd like to just go back and revisit some of those so that they will be memorable. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you are communicating with Ms. Jasmine Watson on Facebook at Jasmine Truly Blessed Watson, think in terms of some of the things that she's talked about, because we've talked about talent getting you there, but attitude keeping you there.
Yeah.
And attitude was one of the things that you talked about that you'd like to leave as a legacy, if you will, to be known for someone with a nice, positive, warm attitude and personality. It's interesting, too, that coming from the business side of things, if you will, I've always said that the skill sets are transferable. And you've referred to the game of basketball, but you also talked about how those same skills transfer into life. And I can't agree with you more. So I would definitely say continue on the path that you're on. Young lady, it is really awesome that people have invested so much into you, and now we're starting to see the fruit of their labor and of yours. As we are winding down, and you know, the biggest problem that I knew we were going to have is not having enough time. So with that, we're going to really try to put a nice, beautiful bow on this this awesome interview, and just kind of talk about some things. Once again, from amateur to professional sports. Specifically basketball. Now, have you told us where you're going to be going to play basketball?
Come this Saturday, September 14th, I'll be going to Romania to play on the Sepsi international team.
Awesome. So are you fair to partly cloudy excited, somewhat excited, or are you as excited as Serena Williams was when she just won her latest tournament?
I'm excited and nervous and all of the above. I found out I get to fly to London, which me and my nephew joke about all the time. We love their accent, so as soon as I get there, I'm sending him video footage of the people talking. But awesome. And then when I get there, I think I'm just stand there and kind of like try to soak it in for a second, because right now it's not hitting me because I'm still around my family. I still get to see my nephew when he comes home, being goofy and tearing up the house. So I don't take those things for granted. So I'm kind of just absorbing the little time I do have and getting ready for this big jump I'm about to take.
Yeah. Well, we're excited.
Thank you.
And needless to say, we're going to be with you there every step of the way. Coach Ricks, I'm excited to have had the opportunity to meet with you. Even more excited about having the opportunity to work with you as you transition to professional sports. Coach Gwen, who's my coach at home, you know, she's excited for you as well. And for the entire family, your grandmother, your sister, your nephew, mom and dad, all of the relatives that are spread throughout the United States and beyond. I'm sure they're proud of you. I will tell you that we did not name this show The Best Of by accident, because we really do focus on having the best of people in their categories on the show. So it's been a pleasure. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, you can find Ms. Jasmine Watson on Facebook, and just look for her and look for some great things from her. Things that I will do. This is going to be a first on The Best Of.
Oh, wow.
We view you as really being a star in our minds and in our hearts, and we'd like to give you a symbol of that star, and we want you to carry it with you wherever you travel, and know that in Coach Gwen and Coach Rick's mind and heart that you are a star, along with the rest of the family members and friends. So you can have this as a token of focusing, and as you're thinking in terms of that self-talk and your spirituality and all, just have something to kind of keep you focused on. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, this has been The Best Of, and I will certainly say that it has been a pleasure to meet Ms. Jasmine Watson, who's going to be going into professional basketball very soon, as a matter of hours, and we're going to be bringing her back after she has finished